Okay, good afternoon, Dr. Kagan. Welcome to Singapore.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you around for 13 years in Singapore. You've been to Singapore and teaching. Singapore teaches how to teach, workshopping for the past 13 years.
Yeah.
In your mind, what would be the most important instructional principles that the teacher has to bear in mind to ensure effective learning takes place in the classroom?
Our emphasis is not on the curriculum, not on the what of teaching, but rather on the how, instructional strategies. And the most important part of what we try to convey to teachers is getting active engagement. The traditional teacher will ask a question, it doesn't matter what the content, and the students will raise their hands. And then the teacher calls on one. And the other students lower their hands, and many of them, their minds begin to wander. Okay. If the teacher wants to get just 1 minute per student, and they're going to use that traditional structure of calling on the students one at a time, with 30 students in the class, it'll take over an hour. Why would it take over an hour? Because the teacher first has to ask the question, then the student responds, then the teacher has to respond to the answer. Correction opportunity, praise, redirect their thinking. We talk twice for every time the students do. We talk about 60% of the time, so it's going to take us an hour. Now, the teacher says, well, I would never do that for an hour. I only do question and answer for 5 minutes. Yeah, but it's 5 minutes today, and 5 minutes tomorrow, and 5 minutes at the end of a lesson, and 5 minutes in the middle of a lesson. And pretty soon we've taken a valuable hour of instructional time, and how have we spent our time? Each student has gotten 1 minute of active engagement and 59 minutes of looking at the back of the head of some student talking to the teacher. It's structure for disengagement. Contrast that with the structures that we used. For example, a time pair share. Teacher asks the same exact question, gives a little think time, and then students in pairs, A talks for a minute, then B talks for a minute. In 2 minutes, we do what it would have taken an hour the other way in terms of active engagement. And we don't do that just once. We'll do it at the beginning of the lesson, later in a lesson, tomorrow. Now we've used a valuable hour of class time. Instead of 1 minute of active engagement, it's almost a half hour of active engagement, because half the time the students are talking. And the other half the time they're more engaged too, because somebody's talking right to them, instead of them looking at the back of the head of some kid talking to the teacher. So we emphasize the how of teaching. The content can be exactly the same, but which instructional strategies we choose determine their thinking skills, their academic achievement, their retention. We remember dramatically more of that which we say than that which we hear. And their teamwork skills, and their caring for each other, their support for each other. We prepare them for the interdependent world that they're going to live in.